What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about Dormammu and Dark Dimension 5. Is the Dark Dimension 5 still something that is relevant? Should the new players go after Dormammu and complete Dark Dimension 5, or should they go after Apocalypse and get the Horseman characters and the Horseman teams? We're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to take a look at the best characters for you to complete Dark Dimension 5, and of course this is also going to apply to Dark Dimension 4, 3, and that's it. Those are the only ones that matter. So as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so once again, we're going to talk about Dormammu, if you should start Dark Dimension 5 or not, based on your current situation of the game. Then we're going to take a look at some gameplay and why you should listen to me. Why should you listen to someone random guy on the internet? And also I'm gonna give you a tier list of the best characters based on which section you can use them. So you're gonna take a look at City, Global, Cosmic and Legendary, and finally I'm gonna show you the best teams that you can make with those characters, and these are the teams that I use in order to one-shot all the enemies on Dark Dimension 5. So with all that said, let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about Dormammu. Is Dormammu still a character that is relevant enough? And we can even include Doctor Doom. Is Doctor Doom a character that is relevant enough in order for you to pursue it? And the answer is definitely yes. Not only you are obtaining these amazing characters, Dormammu and Doctor Doom, but you're also getting a bunch of Elite 5 orbs, you're going to get a bunch of gold orbs, you're also going to get a bunch of T4s. So Dark Dimension 5 and Dark Dimension 4, it's not all about the characters that you obtain at the end of the journey. It's also the experience that you obtain learning the game and facing this challenge, but also the amount of rewards that you get after you complete it. The amount of rewards, not only in terms of gold, the T4s and so on, but you're also getting a ton of gear, and that's going to give you a huge jump in terms of progress to your account. So as a new player, if you can complete Dark Dimension 3, 4 and 5 as fast as possible, that's going to be huge for your progress, as long as you invest on the right characters. Now, between Dormammu and Apocalypse, which character you should invest in? It doesn't matter. Apocalypse doesn't matter, and the reason why Apocalypse doesn't matter, it's because we still don't know. We are 1 year into this journey and we still don't know what exactly you need to obtain Apocalypse. We already know that we need over 20 characters at Gear Tier 17 with Isolate Blue level 5. Isolate Blue level 5, it's not even available in-game for you to buy. It's something that is so rare that is irrelevant. So should you focus on Dark Dimension 5 today, or should you focus on something related with Apocalypse that you don't know if it's coming in 3 months or in 6 months? It's definitely not coming anytime soon. So you definitely should focus on what gives you benefits right now. And the characters that we are going to take a look at, it's characters that you can use in multiple game modes, and that they are going to overlap in terms of value. Other thing that you need to have into consideration is that characters that are part of the progress for Apocalypse, for example, a character like She-Hulk, these are gear sinks, and what does that mean? That means that all the investment that you do on these characters is going to be mostly useless. The investment is mostly useless. If you don't have the entire team, the investment is useless. The characters, for example, this one is way too expensive and it's going to give you very few benefits. It's not going to help you enough in raids, it's not going to help you enough in multiple game modes, and it's not characters that are advised early on for the new players to farm, because the value is so little. Like, if you're starting the game and you start investing on She-Hulk, that's one of the biggest mistakes you could make, because it's a gear sink, it's a time sink, and so on. Then you have other characters like Agatha Harkness, like Abomination, like Brawn, that they are not farmable. So unless you want to spend hundreds of dollars unlocking these characters and setting them up to playable levels, they are not going to matter for new players. So you should look forward to characters that can be used in multiple places early on in the early game, and go throughout to the end game, but go to the end game that makes sense, which is going to be characters that are usable in Alliance Wars, in Raids, in Cosmic Crucible, and in most of the game modes. Of course, the Horseman characters, they are amazing in all those game modes, but if you cannot complete your daily raids, you are definitely falling off behind everyone else. So, should you rush for Apocalypse? Should you start to invest on characters that are sinks for your gear, for your training materials, and for your gold? Definitely not. Focus on characters that are good overall in the game. It doesn't matter which meta we are on, you should invest on characters that are overall good, and you're gonna take a look at those characters. So we can also talk about the value of Dormammu. We should talk about also the value of Doctor Doom. Do those characters still have value? Of course they have. Doctor Doom is one of the only characters that gives you insane turn advantage. Whenever you use his ultimate, he's going to give you 3 turns for one specific character with the highest damage, so you can choose which character that's going to be. For example, if you are using Uncanny, if you give Striker Eyes away to Storm, she's going to have the highest damage. That means Storm is going to charge up faster, she's going to have multiple turns, and her ultimate is going to be devastating. If you want other character to be first, you just have to increase their base damage, and you can do that by manipulating which eyes away they have. Thanks for the sub. Okay, so with all that in mind, we can also talk about Dormammu. Some people don't see as much value in Dormammu because they use him as a striker or as a raider, but if you use Dormammu as a skirmisher, his value is insane because he has 1 stun with trauma, which can be applied to any character in game as long as they don't have immunity. Then we have his ultimate that also applies negative effects to the enemies, and then we have his passive, which flips positive effects on the enemies as long as they don't have safeguard. So if you apply Skirmisher Isolate to Dormammu, even if he's not top of the meta right now, his value is going to be increased for a longer time, a longer period of time compared to Striker and Raider, because of all these additional effects that you can do with his abilities, with the special, with the ultimate, and with passive ability. So are these characters still relevant, Doctor Doom and Dormammu? The answer is definitely yes, so they are definitely worth pursuing. So with all that said, let's take a look at some gameplay, and we can also talk about my position in Dark Dimension 5. So if we take a look at the records of Dark Dimension 5, the best players on Dark Dimension 5, you can see that I'm on around top 1336. I wanted to get 1337. Oh, I'm actually now, okay, so I'm even higher now because a few people have been removed because they were cheating. They were cheating, so their accounts were deleted. So I went from 1336 to 1334 based on that. And I'm gonna be honest, I spent $0. There are some content creators out there that they spend money to get faster to Dark Dimension 5 and so on. I spent $0 on my gear. What I did was very optimized gear, and you can optimize your gear by doing this. On the first few characters you want to take one cosmic character or a legendary character. Then you want to take 2 city characters and 2 global characters. So 2 city characters, 2 global characters, 1 cosmic or legendary. This is going to be the characters you start with. After that, when you reach to the city nodes, you are going to get only city characters, but you always work in groups of 5. So when you are working for your final city characters, you are also investing in 2 global characters and 1 cosmic character or legendary character. When you reach your global lane, then you're going to start to invest in your last global character. You're going to start to invest in 2 cosmic characters and 2 legendary characters. So when you reach to the cosmic lane, you are also ready to complete the legendary lane. And this is why I was able to finish Dark Dimension so fast, because of how I optimized the gear and how I optimized the character investment. So whenever I'm finishing one lane, I'm already ready to start the next lane. This is how I was able to go so fast, top 1000, without spending a dime, 0 cents invested on gear for Dark Dimension 5, which is not what other people did, and I'm very proud of that because I completed it so fast. On top of that, you can also take a look at my progress. You can check out my YouTube channel. There are for sure still playlists with Dark Dimension 5 of my first runs. And you can see in a few places that I one-shotted the nodes. It's not like I did 100 tries or something like that. No, I actually one-shot the nodes. And this is something that other people don't do. So the global nodes you saw I one-shotted, the city nodes I also one-shotted. And if you are using the right team, this is going to be great. You are going to one-shot the nodes, you are going to struggle very little, and what usually is a very bad experience, which is Dark Dimension. Usually people say, oh, I hate Dark Dimension. If you do it like me, if you try to bring the best teams, then you're going to have easier time because you're going to one-shot the nodes. And even if you don't one-shot the nodes, you'll do it once or twice or maybe 3 times. And you're not going to have these huge struggles that other people are dealing with. So bringing your best characters is going to be very, very important. Okay, so with all that said, let's take a look at some gameplay, and then we're going to check out the tier list to see which are the best characters for you to bring. Okay, so I wanted to show you some gameplay because I want you to understand that it's very, very important to bring the right characters, and it's also very important to know which characters to attack. So this is on the global nodes. This is probably the hardest node on Dark Dimension 5, which is the second global node. This node is extremely annoying because we have multiple characters, extremely annoying, like Squirrel Girl, like Yo-Yo, we have Jubilee, we have Magneto, we have Shuri giving energy to everyone. And we also have Black Panther that if you allow him to go crazy, he's going to destroy our team. So you want to have a balance of defense with offense. And in the past I used, for example, Silver Samurai together with Captain Sam, so we have 2 characters with taunt. When one character is not taunting, the other one is taunting. Captain Sam, he doesn't have defense up all the time, so you want to pair him up with a character that applies offense down, which was Silver Samurai. On top of that, I also have Lady Deathstrike, and Lady Deathstrike together with Silver Samurai, they call it, Silver Samurai is called for assist, with the more Weapon X characters you have. Then I have Mary Hill, which summons minions, so whenever the minions attack, because of Lady Deathstrike and because of Silver Samurai, the minions would call Silver Samurai to assist. So this is the type of scenario that you want in Dark Dimension. You have a very solid team of characters that are usable on multiple game modes and that have mechanics that benefit each other. Here I don't have Silver Samurai, I have instead Spider Weaver, and Spider Weaver is a good character to pair up with Captain Sam, because once again, Captain Sam does not have defense up all the time, so whenever he doesn't have defense up, you can use the ultimate of Spider Weaver in order to blind the enemy. So this is what I mean, it's going to be extremely important to have the right characters, and this is why I'm making a tier list rather than just doing plain recommendations, because being aware of which are the best characters and which characters you should pair up together with each other is going to be the best way for you. Other situation that you can see right here, we have multiple characters that heal up. We have Mordo, we have Shuri, we have Miss Marvel, we have Squirrel Girl. All of these characters are able to heal each other and heal themselves. Therefore, you want a character that can supply heal block. And as I mentioned, Silver Surfer in the past, Silver Samurai, whenever he would assist, he would apply heal block to the enemies, which would stop them from healing. And this time I'm bringing Gambit, and this is what I mentioned also before, the double up in value. Not only you are investing in characters that you use on different game modes that have good synergies with each other, but if you can double up in as many places as possible, that's what you should do. I use Gambit for the mutant raids. I'm the only successful player in the mutant raids, as it seems. I'm the only one who can one-shot the nodes easily, except the boss node. And it's with using Gambit, and of course if you can double up in value. So Gambit is useful for me in raids, it is useful for me in Cosmic Crucible, it is useful for me in Blitz, obviously, but also in Alliance Wars. I didn't mention Alliance Wars, raids, Cosmic Crucible and Blitz. So I use Gambit in way more places than everyone else, and once again, you are just doubling up on value. For the same gear, you are getting huge value in all game modes. So if you can do that also on Dark Dimension, of course you want to do that as well. So now that you took a look at the gameplay, you also have to have a mindset of the enemies that you are facing. For example, on this node, you have a lot of yo-yos. So when you are facing yo-yo, you want to use a character that can stun yo-yo, so she doesn't apply offense down to you, and also a character that applies slow. And in this case, we have Sharon Carter. She can apply stuns, she can apply slows, but you also have Spider Weaver as a backup stunner in case it's necessary, and therefore this team is extremely strong. Okay, so with all this said, with taking a look at the mindset, taking a look at the philosophy behind the teams, and why you should listen to me, because I'm a very successful player in Dark Dimension. I have always been, and I think I'm known for that. But for new players that don't know me, you get the references. I don't like to do appeals to authority, this is appeal to authority, but I think it's justified when the facts speaks for themselves. Okay, so with all that said, now let's take a look at the tier lists. We're gonna take a look at the best characters for each of the sections, and then I'm gonna show you my favorite teams for Dark Dimension for each of the sections in order for you to complete it as fast as possible and doubling up in value as often as possible. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so here we are on tiermaker.com. You're gonna take a look at the tier list. I divide these characters in the typical S to F tier, and then we have the trash tier. And on the trash tier, it's characters that you should definitely not take to Dark Dimension 5. And a few characters right here, unfortunately, you have to gear them up to gear tier 16 and gear tier 17 at some point in the future. At some point in the future, you have to gear them up to gear tier 16 and gear tier 17, but they are gear sinks. Once again, what is a gear sink? It's a character that is gonna drain your gear, is a character that is gonna drain your gold, all your resources, and provide little to no value. So even if you are chasing Apocalypse, characters like Phantom X that are gear sinks, once again, Phantom X, we have She-Hulk, we have Scarlet Witch, you should leave these characters for last. The day before you obtain Apocalypse, that's when you should gear up these characters. So if you are not ready to get Apocalypse, just ignore these gear sinks, and there are many of them. There are many gear sinks that provide little to no value to your account. Okay, we can talk about the F tier characters. Once again, this is Dark Dimension tier list, and this is why we have Dormammu on F tier. Not because Dormammu is a bad character, but it's the character you want to obtain, right? So he's gonna be a terrible character for you to take on your first run because you cannot use him. So you have to use for your second run, but on the second run is definitely S tier. Beyond that, we have characters that are somewhat useful and that have good synergies with each other, and that overall provide you some value in the game, whether it is on Cosmic Crucible, on Alliance Wars, somewhat in raids, depends of the situation, and it also depends on how many yellow stars and red stars you have. So for example, a character that we have right here, Madeline Pryor, this might be a controversial recommendation, but it's a farmable character, and you should invest in useful farmable characters, and she's one of them. Now, she's F tier because she doesn't have that much value and because she's dependent on other characters. But if you have, for example, Emma Frost, we have Madeline Pryor, we have Mr. Sinister, and then you take like Captain Sam and Dr. Doom, this is gonna be a great team. It's gonna be a great team, or even Silver Samurai instead of Dr. Doom. This would be a great team. You have 2 tanks, you have 1 healer, you have 2 damage dealers, and you have a controller with Emma Frost reducing the speed of the enemies. This would be an awesome team. You'd have a lot of fun playing with this team, and especially with the clones and all the summons and so on. So the F tier is characters that they will give you some fun, they will not give you the best value, but you have some interesting options. Dr. Octopus, it was amazing for me. I used him on the legendary nodes, and him giving speed up to Morgan Le Fay all the time was literally insane, because she was going so fast. It was just incredible. Omega Red also gives speed up to himself, so it got to a point that I had the entire team with speed up because of Dr. Octopus, so it was also a great option. Jubilee, she was part of the raids. Right now she's F tier because she's expensive and her value is diminishing really fast. She's not important anymore. She has only 30 days left for Cosmic Crucible value, and in terms of the raids, within the next 30 days, within the next 60 days, she'll lose all her value because she'll be replaced by Archangel and the Dead Sea team. In terms of other characters, here we have Doctor Strange. He's okay, he's not great. It's not exactly a gear sync, but it can be considered a gear sync for new players because you need the other characters that are part of the team to be together with him. Dark Beast is also a character that right now doesn't have a good value, so it's another gear sync. Jessica Jones is a very usable character for Dark Dimension, but it does not provide a lot of value either in other game modes. Then we have the Wakanda. The Wakanda, they are pretty decent, but only M'Baku, the Okoye, and Bashenga. So these three Wakanda, they are very powerful, but you have to pair them up with other characters that provide healing and that also provide some damage, because by themselves alone it's not enough, but if you take the three of them, they are going to be good investment for new players. Then you have Sabretooth. He's very cheap, and if you are on a rush, he's not terrible because he applies offense down to the enemies on top of the damage he does, so he provides control and damage. And he also pairs up with Mr. Sinister, he also pairs up with Omega Red, he also pairs up with Silver Samurai, so we have a few options there. And then we have Silver Surfer. He's a mystic character. He's not terrible, he's quite fast, but he's mystic, and we're gonna have some problem with mystic here. Okay, so we already took. Let's take a look at in detail. Let's take a look in detail at each of the tier lists. So here we have the city tier list. Jessica Jones and Miss Marvel, they provide some utility. They are both bio and they are both quite expensive. So this is a not great investment because they don't provide you usefulness in the daily game modes, which is raids. They also provide you low value in Cosmic Crucible, and their value in other game modes like Scourge, it's very limited. On the first few Scourges, their value is great, but after the first and the second Scourge, their value drops down because so many players already have the horsemen that are important. Then we have Nobu. Nobu got a rework recently, and he's very underrated. People are not appreciating exactly how good this guy is, but I think in the future, if I have the opportunity of getting him up, I will be able to display his value. Then we have Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, she's a good healer. She also applies heal block and offense down to the enemy, so she also provides some control. The problem is that she's insanely expensive, and on top of that, her days are over. The days of Squirrel Girl are over because the scaling of her stats is not great anymore. When you have characters that have 2 million HP, like the Gamma team, a character that has around 700,000 health, especially outside of Alliance Wars, it's not going to be that great. And for example, the healing she provides is just not good enough. It's just she heals for 30% of her max health, but her max health is like 10% of everyone else, so therefore she's not gonna be great anymore. Then we have Dagger. Dagger is a very good character, but she is mystic. Mystic is gonna be a problem. If you are a new player or an old player, Mystic is always a problem. There are way too many Mystic characters, and while she provides a lot of healing, while she provides a lot of control, while she has huge survivability, the fact she is Mystic, it compromises her value. And between Cloak and Dagger, you should always take Cloak first. If you can take both, that's amazing. Otherwise, you should just take Cloak. Symbiote Spider-Man is a great character. He has stuns, he has slows, he has self-healing, he has all those great effects, but he is off the meta right now. He's also very expensive. He requires 4 sets of mini uniques, so he's not also a good character. You can take him for Dark Dimension 3 and 4, but for Dark Dimension 5, where it's required Teal gear, you have to be careful. Okay, Ghost Spider, she's a great character if you have OG Spider-Man and if you have Cloak. Maybe if you also have Spider-Woman. If you don't have either of these three characters, forget about Ghost Spider. She's not good enough. She does not apply the negative effects consistently without the help of other characters. So if you don't have any of these three characters, or if you don't have multiple of these three characters, just forget about Ghost Spider, because she's not good. Kingpin is a new character that got reworked recently, and he has huge value now. He provides assists to the entire team, especially if they are villain. He summons minions which will absorb the damage from the enemies, and they have a taunt. The minions also do a lot of damage, and like I said, he provides the assists, and on top of that he also provides buffs to the team. And whenever he is attacked, he's gonna get turn meter, and that's gonna provide more assists, more turn meter, more minions to protect your main characters. And speaking of main characters, we have on the S tier and we have A+ characters. All of these characters are A+. And the reason why, it's because they provide multiple things. They provide control, they provide damage, they have sustainability, they have survivability, they have mitigation, they have everything they need in order to be successful in Dark Dimension. So that's going to be OG Spider-Man, Cloak, Spider-Woman, and Shang-Chi. These characters, they also, Shang-Chi and OG Spider-Man, they also double up in value for raids. And Cloak and Spider-Woman, they are still usable in other game modes, Alliance Wars, Cosmic Crucible, in the Avengers Tower, also in Scourges. They are very, very good. So even if you are not using them today for raids, you're going to end up using them in other game modes. As I mentioned, the value of Jubilees is falling apart because of the end of the meta of Cosmic Crucible. So that means on the upcoming season of Cosmic Crucible, it might happen that all the Mystic characters are amazing. So therefore, just keep an eye on these characters, because their value might jump every 3 months. Okay, so that's for City. These are the best characters you can take for City. Now let's take a look at Global. And on Global, there are many characters. Most of the characters that have been released this year has been Global. We already talked about Wakanda. We already talked about these villain mutants. Let's talk about the other characters. So right here, we have a character that I consider a gear sync, because if you don't have the other gamma characters, it's not going to be that great. So if you have Hulk, if you have Abomination, then Braun is going to be a good character. Otherwise, he's a trash character. Then we have Echo. Echo, she's an Avenger character, so she has synergies with the Secret Avengers and also with the Bionic Avengers. But she requires you to have Kate Bishop. If you don't have Kate Bishop, forget about Echo. She's trash. The same goes for Deadlock. Deadlock, amazing damage. He provides energy, he provides buffs to Bionic Avengers. But once again, if you don't have V-Vision, if you don't have Hulkbuster, forget about these guys. This is why they are on the E tier. It's because they are so dependent from other characters being together with them, and they don't have huge value on their own. But in terms of gear syncs, only Braun is the biggest gear sync. Echo, she's not terrible because she's a skill character. Now in the D tier, these are good characters that they're not exactly like top of the meta, or they are not exactly the stars on their teams, but they are second to none. They are second to the first, and they are good characters. They just don't work without their leader. Agatha, she is great, but she needs Morgan Le Fay. Abomination is great, but he needs Hulk and he needs Red Hulk. Dazzler, she's okay, she's not that great. Silver Samurai is great, but he's a little bit off the meta, and his stats are limited because Omega Red is legendary and is the one that gives HP. Taskmaster overall is a good character, but he's quite expensive in terms of SBCs. And Kate Bishop, she's a great character, she has synergy with all other characters, but she's kind of slow, and that is a problem for her. Gambit. Now Gambit is a damage machine, and the heal block from Gambit is very, very important. He applies the heal block fairly consistently. The other negative effects that he applies, they are not as consistent, but because Gambit has so much damage, and because he has like insane stats, on his own he has over 1 million health, therefore he's a decent character to bring to Dark Dimension. He's also quite cheap to gear up, and for Global alone we don't have that many mutant characters. Now on the B tier we have V-Vision and we have Hulkbuster as B+, because these characters are amazing and they provide huge value not only for their own team but also for other characters that are not part of their own team. So for example, Hulkbuster gives barriers for everyone. V-Vision, she flips negative effects to positive effects on everyone. So they're gonna provide huge value whether they're with a team or not. Then we have Mary Heal. She summons the minions, she heals up, she provides deflects to skill characters, she provides immunity to Secret Avengers. She's a great character, but once again she's dependent on other Secret Avengers. She's dependent on other skill characters. So yes, she has a good value on her own, but she's better with other characters. That's why she's the weakest of the Secret Avengers. She's also required daily on raids for the skill nodes, so it's definitely a character that you must invest whether you like it or not, unfortunately. Hulk and Lady Deathstrike, these are characters that have insane survivability on their own and also provide a lot of utility. I actually prefer Lady Deathstrike to Hulk, but Hulk right now is part of the meta and Lady Deathstrike is not, so that's why Lady Deathstrike is on B- and Hulk is also B-. Okay, now we have the S tier and A tier. Captain Sam is S tier because he's a tank, he has insane stats, he provides buffs not only to himself but also to the entire team. He also provides additional stats not only to himself but also to the team and also to other skill characters. He also provides energy to other characters, which will allow these other characters to use their abilities more often and being more useful. Some of those characters are going to be Sharon Carter, which applies ability blocks, she applies stuns, she applies slow, so she provides insane amount of control to the enemies. And because she is paired up with the other Secret Avengers characters, both of these characters you have to use in raids, so they double up in value in multiple situations. And she's overall a great character. She has insane focus to apply negative effects to the enemies, and control is king in Dark Dimension, and that's very important. Spider Weaver, she also provides a lot of control, but on top of that, she also provides healing, she also provides buffs to the team, she also does tons and tons of damage, and characters killed by her cannot be revived. On top of that, she also blinds the enemies, reducing their accuracy, and this character is just amazing. And she also gives energy to herself, so she is not relying on Captain Sam to give energy to herself, and that's just amazing. This character is literally insane, and that's why she's A+. She's A+, but Sharon Carter is a little bit better because Sharon Carter is skill, and Spider Weaver, she's mystic, and she's not like mandatory for raids, it's just a character that you can use if you want. Finally, we have Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is great on all game modes. Doctor Doom was not used in Arena anymore. Now I'm using him in Arena daily because people are not using the counters against Doctor Doom, so I'm using Doctor Doom. Why not? This is why the meta of the Arena is very fluid. And the character that had less value like a few months ago now has huge value, and this is the point of characters like Doctor Doom and Dormammu. They go up and down depending on which teams are popular in the moment, but he's a character that summons minions. Those minions are used as decoys to absorb damage from the enemies, to absorb stuns, to absorb ability blocks. Then he can also provide 3 turns to allies, he can heal up allies, he can remove negative effects from the allies, he can apply heal block and disrupt to the enemies, and he also does tons and tons of damage. So overall, it's still a great character for you to take to Dark Dimension 5 and Dark Dimension 4 on your second run, and so on. Okay, so those are the global characters, many options, but you can see the best options are of course at the top. Okay, so let's take a look at the cosmic characters, and we are not going to take a look at the legendary characters because there are so few of them, so I'm just going to show which are the best teams for the Dark Dimension. Okay, so the tier list for the Dark Dimension, let's take a look at the characters that are somewhat usable but not that great. So we have Strange Supreme. He's okay, he does a little bit of damage, a little bit of control, and he doesn't have that much survivability or self-sustain, so he's not a great character. Then we have Mordo. Mordo is an insane character for Dark Dimension, he's very underrated, but he needs to be paired up with Hela. Every time Greg dies, Mordo is gonna get tons and tons of energy. That means you can spam his special all the time. His special is gonna stun one character and blind 3 other, and that in Dark Dimension is literally insane. And the fact that he can do this every other turn is literally insane. So if you, for some reason, you can use Hela in Dark Dimension, you can also use Mordo. this combination of characters is amazing, extremely powerful, because after you're applying those blinds, you can spread those blinds with Hela. It's a very, very good combination. The problem is that they require Mystic gear, and another problem is that specifically for Dark Dimension 5, there are a lot of symbiotes there, and these symbiotes will take advantage of your Greg. So you have to keep that in mind, because it's going to turn a liability specifically in Dark Dimension 5. So Mordo and Hela you can take to Dark Dimension 3, Dark Dimension 4, maybe not to Dark Dimension 5. Ravager's Teacher is a very cheap character. A few people used him. They said he was okay, and that's up to you if you want to take this character or not. I don't recommend it, but I can see the reason why, because he's so cheap. Dormammu you can use on the second run, and Silver Surfer I don't really recommend because he's Mystic. Now in terms of the D tier, we have Star-Lord T'Challa at D+, and the reason why is because he's no longer a useful character. You can very specifically use him on Cosmic Crucible or Alliance Wars, maybe Avengers Tower, maybe very rarely Scourge. It's not a great character, and because when he was part of the meta, of the raid meta, sure, he was a great character to take to Dark Dimension. I took him myself, and he did fine, but right now it's definitely not a priority for Dark Dimension 5. The same goes for Deadpool. While she's amazing in raids, while she still must have in raids, you don't need her at Gear T16, you are just fine at Gear T15, and she uses the same centerpiece unique as Dormammu, if I remember correctly, so that's going to cause you some problems, because you should take Dormammu over Deadpool, unfortunately. Okay, so now you're going to talk about these four sisters, which is the Infinity Watch sisters. We have Nebula, we have Phyla-Vell, we have Moondragon, and we have Gamora. All of them have some value. Of course, Phyla-Vell has the highest value because she provides drain to her allies as long as they have death proof. The Eternals, they're gonna get death proof. Star-Lord T'Challa, he can get death proof from allies, and therefore she's gonna provide huge value to the team, and she's gonna provide huge value to herself. Not only with the buffs, defense up, offense up, and death proof, but also with barrier, which removes negative effects. She also has drain for herself, so therefore she has damage, she has sustainability, she also has some control because she applies offense down to the enemies, and overall she's the best Infinity Watch character to take to Dark Dimension 5. Then we have Moondragon and Gamora. Moondragon, she provides healing, she also provides a little bit of control, and she also provides mitigation with defense up and the flags. So she is the second best Infinity Watch character to take. Gamora, she just provides damage, that's it, she revives, so that means you can have like double value of the character if she dies. But it's not a character that you should prioritize. The other ones are definitely first, and then you can take Gamora if you have enough skill gear and you still have space for her. Finally, you can take Nebula if you have the other three. If you have the other three characters, or if you have at least two of them, Nebula is going to be okay, because tech gear right now is not an emergency. She provides evades, which increase the survivability of the team. She also provides some counters that increase the damage output. It's just an okay option, it's not amazing, and that's why she's on the D-. And Hela, as I mentioned before, Dark Dimension 3 and 4, Hela is fine. For Dark Dimension 5, she's extremely expensive. Between Hela and Dormammu, or between Deadpool and Dormammu, you should always take Dormammu if you already have him available. If you don't, you should just skip Deadpool and Hela and invest on the other characters that maybe they are not as amazing, but at least they are not going to hold you back in terms of gear. So in terms of B tier, we don't have any character because there are no cosmic characters. Unfortunately, this is a game that we are still waiting for the Shi'ar Empire, we are still waiting for the Space Jammers, and therefore we don't have many options for the B tier. Okay, now on the A tier we have Ikaris. Why is Ikaris worse than Cersei? The reason why is because Cersei, she provides value on her own, and Ikaris, he only provides value if Cersei is part of the team. Therefore, you want to gear up Cersei first. If you have a team, for example, of Cersei, Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, Gamora and Nebula, this is going to be a great team. So Cersei overall, she's underrated, and it's kind of unfair because she flips positive effects on the enemies, she flips negative effects to positive effects on your team, and she also applies stun to the enemies, which is very, very useful. So therefore, when you are gearing up the Eternals, you should gear up first Cersei and then Icarus. This is what I did, and this gave me a huge advantage because after I finished my first run of Dark Dimension 5, I had enough gear to gear up Icarus, and it was extremely fast. And with Cersei alone, she was still a great character. I did a few tries. It was not one shot on every node, but it was like 2 or 3 shots each node, which is still great. Finally, we have Kestrel. Kestrel, she is tech, she is skill, and she provides tons and tons of damage. She provides also some utility, not the best utility, but decent utility. She does damage outside of the turn. She's extremely fast. She provides buffs to herself. She clears negative effects from herself, and she also gives mitigation to herself and healing and everything. Kestrel is a great character, and paired up with the Infinity Watch or paired up with Eternals, or even with Star-Lord T'Challa, she's going to provide huge value. So she's also a S tier. So these are the most important tier lists that we have. We have the main tier list. You can also find the legendary characters here. Let's be honest, is all the Horsemen plus Omega Red, and then we have Shuri as A tier. She's actually A+, but with so many good characters here, like all of these characters are mostly A+. But in terms of city, we already saw the enemy, we already saw the characters. Global, we already saw the best characters, and then we have the cosmic characters. So let's take a look at the best teams you can make. I have used all these teams, and all of them are able to one-shot each of the nodes. So first off, we have City. Best characters for City, we have OG Spider-Man Cloak. If you bring Cloak and if you can also bring Dagger, that's going to be amazing. Then you have Shang-Chi, and if you have Spider-Woman, you should take Spider-Woman. She's definitely the best character. Beyond that, you have Kingpin. He's extremely cheap, but he provides so much value. He's extremely underrated right now, and he's going to do amazing things for you. I don't have the experience myself, but people I trust have told me that Kingpin was amazing for them, and I definitely recommend Kingpin. Other characters, as I mentioned, Spider-Woman if you have her. In case you don't have her, you can take Squirrel Girl, which is not the best option, but okay, I guess. Then you can also take Symbiote Spider-Man, not the best option, but okay. And that's pretty much it. On Global, this team is amazing. The fact that I was able to one-shot all the Global nodes with them, it's amazing because the Global nodes are the hardest. Very, very hard to one-shot. If you do a 2 or 3 shots on Global, you should be proud of yourself because Global is very, very hard. But this team is on another level. They can one-shot each of the nodes, and that just shows how incredible this team is and how incredible these characters together are. In the cosmic nodes, we have the Eternals. As I said, they are both S tier and A tier, so definitely must have. Then we also have Kestrel. She also doubles up in value for raids. And then we have Phyla-Vell and Moondragon, which are the best Infinity Watch to invest in for the Dark Dimension 5. Finally, we have the legendary characters. There are no secrets for legendaries. We have Morgan Le Fay, we have Red Hulk, and we have Rogue. Some people think that Omega Red, it doesn't have value anymore because he's very hard to unlock. It's not actually that hard. You can use Omega Red at 5 stars. Oh my fucking god. Unbelievable. Can you use a character at 5 stars only and him being amazing? Yes. Which character is that going to be? It's Omega Red. Omega Red is the best character for you to use at 5 stars. So even that is not great to unlock. You need Secret Avengers, which are great characters, but then you need Nick Fury and Kree Minions, and you also need Winter Soldier. But you can unlock Omega Red at 5 stars, and he's gonna be amazing. He's literally amazing, even at low stars, because he drains the enemies, he steals their health, and it's percentage based. So it's irrelevant if you have him at 5 stars or if you have him at 7 stars. What differs is his survivability, but that's why we have Shuri, we have Rogue, Red Hulk, which are going to provide control of the enemies, and a bunch of negative effects that will allow you to win. So yeah, that's it. Those are the final characters, and we are done with the Dark Dimension 5 recommendations and so on. So yeah guys, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. This was a big journey, but it's like Dark Dimension, and if you want to have a pleasant experience in Dark Dimension, you should definitely follow my advices. Try to double up in value in terms of the characters, and don't fall in traps like She-Hulk, Scarlet Witch or Phantom X and other gear sinks. Even Dazzler is kind of a gear sink that will waste your gear and provide very little value in your experience for Dark Dimension. And once again, Dormammu and Doctor Doom still have huge value everywhere in the game. These characters are characters that their kits were made in a way that no matter which meta you are facing, they will always have value. And that's why you should still prioritize them over Apocalypse, which we don't even know when Apocalypse is going to be available. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. And if you found the information helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content. And I will catch you guys later.